Nate,
Hey, good afternoon.
how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good.
I appreciate you taking the time to join me today.
Yes, yes. I see you're over in Trillin Parkway.
I am. Yep, I've got a an office over in the Rome building over there.
Nice. I got Jason Bass that does 1 million cups over
I,
there.
I do, absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. He's one of our floaters.
Cool, cool. Have you
Yeah,
guys gone and presented at 1 million cups
I
before?
have. I
Okay.
have.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Cool. Well, I really appreciate you joining me today. You still good for it takes about 20-25 minutes to record the
I,
interview. Is it still a good time?
yeah, it's perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. So just give you a little background how it works. So we record the whole interview. My team will edit everything. I usually kick off with an intro, and then we have about time for 8 or 10 questions, kind of wrap up at the end. It's a way for me to help promote local businesses, but it's really good for everyone to kind of learn how different business owners operate, handle challenges, and kind of manage what's going on in the economy right now, share best practices and really just connect.
Awesome, awesome.
Great.
I'm
So,
looking forward to it.
awesome. So, as part of the process, I usually try and dig in a little deeper. So, ask some questions that'll provide real value for different business owners in the community.
Yep.
I believe I sent you a confirmation email, has a couple of the questions that I normally ask. I won't get through all of them, but I usually kind of stick to some of those preempted questions, and then kind of go from there.
Great, great.
Awesome. And then in the email, there's an offer as well. So as a thank you for joining us today, at the end, you'll have the opportunity to set up a personalized coaching session with one of our certified coaches. But I'll talk about that after we get done.
You got it.
So you guys are local to Peachtree City, right there. It's behind like the Mellow Mushroom and the, is it Wisdom Point? Is that what that
Well,
is?
here's the thing. It's very difficult to find. It's kind of in a hidden location, I guess, because a lot of people get confused and have a hard time finding it. And they don't realize that behind the main Wisdom Point building,
Mhm.
there are businesses in the lower level in the rear of the building. So a lot of people get confused and they think there's only businesses that are on the front of the building, but there's also a bunch of really solid businesses on the back of the building as well.
Sure.
So we're located right on the back, on the corner, behind the Mellow Mushroom off Highway 74. Uh, and it's in a quiet location. We want you to feel relaxed when you get out of the float. So we're in a place where when you walk out of our door, you're looking at trees. It's not a big retail environment. It's not all the hustle and bustle. So you just kind of, we want to continue that relaxed feeling for not only when you are at the spa, but we want you to feel relaxed when you leave the spa as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Cool. Well, we'll jump right into it here. Do you have any questions before we get started?
No, I'm ready to go.
All right, here we go.
Awesome.
All right, welcome back to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Nate Woods. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach Peachtree. Today I have Mr. Leon Anderson, one of the owners of Chalarosi Float Spa, as my guest.
Okay. It is Chalarosi, and it is the Greek word for relaxation. So all of our Chalarosi's are going to have that Greek theme when you walk into it. So pictures of Santorini, and we wanted to have something that was going to be water related. So whenever you look, and the Greeks and the Egyptians were the first two cultures that ever floated. So we just felt like this was a really good connection and a good theme for us to put into the business itself.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. So tell me a little bit about your background and about the business.
Awesome. Yeah. So I grew up in Adrian, Michigan, which is a small town south in Detroit. I started out my career as a personal trainer when I was 18, and then I opened up my own gym when I was 21 years old in Defiance, Ohio. I did that for about a year, sold the business, and started a national marketing company where I traveled the country and just did marketing for gyms that were struggling. Did that for about approximately 10 years, and then I started selling gym equipment packages and giving clients all the training that they would typically receive from a franchise. So we would sell them the whole 24-hour gym package, but then come in and train them on marketing, operations, and sales. And so that's kind of where my passion was, and I still do it, but we're putting the focus into the float business. And the reason why we transitioned over to the float spa rather than doing gyms is when the pandemic hit. So when the pandemic hit, it kind of, well, first of all, it shut down 30% of all the gyms across the country for good. So nobody was opening gyms. It was too crowded and we thought about things in the future, like what if we ever have another pandemic? Is this the kind of business we want to be in, which is going to be, targeted? So when we looked at floating, and the reason I got introduced to it by my wife and my daughter, they went and floated in McDonough for the first time and came home. They absolutely loved it. I started doing the research on it to see what the benefits were. And man, ever since I've been hooked. I'm a big fan of floating. I understand the health benefits, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since we've opened. We've got, we get a lot of good 5-star reviews just simply because I don't think it's us. I think it's just the experience. It's such a unique experience when you're in that sensory deprivation tank. With all that salt in there, it naturally puts you in a state of relaxation. It reduces the stress hormone cortisol. So it's good for de-stressing the spine. It's good for your complexion because of all the magnesium sulfate in the water. It's good for your skin. And it's good just for de-stressing and relaxing. Yeah, so when you lay in that tank for an hour, because of all the magnesium sulfate that's in the tank, you're either going to fall asleep or you're going to feel like you just woke up from an 8-hour nap.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So just so everyone understands, tell me a little bit about the ownership structure in the business. Are you the sole owner and investor?
Nope,
Or do you have
nope,
outside
I am
investors?
not. So the business is a family business. It's me, my wife, my daughter, and my son. Now, my wife, she has a day job in Morrow, Georgia. She works for Global Stainless Steel as the general manager. My daughter works for NCR downtown in Atlanta, and then my son works for Falcon Design Group as a civil engineer in Stockbridge. So it's basically the four of us.
Awesome. Love it. So tell me, what exactly is the role that you play in the business?
I am the CEO, and I am in charge of basically just overseeing the operations of the business, simply because I'm the only one that doesn't have a day job like the rest of the family. So my job is to oversee that business, help out on a part-time level. I have a full-time girl that runs the spa, but then I'll go in at night usually, and then maybe one day on the weekend and work. And that's pretty much it. We structured it as an LLC. So yeah.
Perfect. So you talked a little bit about this already, but what do you find that makes the business unique? Why would customers choose you?
Well, first of all, we're a family business, not a franchise. It's like our competition in our area. So that's the main thing that we like to say. And we're from Peachtree City, and we're very local. What makes us more unique is the fact that we're a float center that not only offers floating, but we also offer near-infrared saunas, red light therapy, and then we're getting ready to add what's called cold plunge. So we're continuing, because we're not bound by the constraints of a franchise, we can continue to develop our business in the way that we see fit for the clients that we have coming, rather than, relying on, some franchise that's going to tell us how we can run or how we cannot run our business. We have that flexibility, so we can take the input from our clients and make our spa even better every year.
Absolutely. So if you had to pick one thing that you wish more people knew about your business, what would that be?
Just what floating is. It's just still such a new concept. They can't grasp it. One of the biggest concerns we have is the cleanliness of the water. So, and that's, look, I was an OCD person growing up, wash my hands a million times a day. So look at if it's got to be extremely clean for me to get in, or my family. But we have the cleanest float pods in Peachtree City. And what I mean by that is we did a lot of research. We went with a manufacturer who, first of all, makes a bigger tub. We used a manufacturer who uses parts that aren't from China. The parts are made in Germany and USA. So it's a very quality driven float pod, but the filtration system on it is amazing. Well, first of all, when you're in 1,200 pounds of therapeutic Epsom salt, it's a natural antimicrobial. So first of all, no bacteria is going to grow in that water. But what we do is the water is filtered all day long. Even when nobody's using it, the tank is completely filtering. What it does is it goes through a UV filter, then it goes through a micron filter, and then it goes through another filter, and then we douse it with a 35% grade industrial hydrogen peroxide. So, I mean, it's crystal clear, nothing living in it. It's the cleanest water you'll ever lay in. So that, I just want people to realize when they float in these pods, they're not floating in water that somebody else floated in. It's completely brand new water every time they get in the tank.
Absolutely. So a little bit of background. I had a pool company before, and I can tell you public pools do not go through nearly the amount of filtration that these pods do.
No, they do not. And that was, actually one of the biggest hurdles for us to even open our spa. We pulled our building permit when we first started, and we were kind of under the impression that we were ready to go. And the day before we were scheduled to open, we got a call from the health department who put the brakes on us, and it put us behind about 7 months. So yeah, we had to basically show why the pods weren't categorized as swimming pools. We had to come up with 23 different variances. So it was a pretty long, drawn out process, but we got through it, thank God. But then we had a flood the day before we were supposed to open, which cost about $50,000 in damage. And thank God for insurance. But so there were a few roadblocks, a couple of hurdles, but since we've been open though, we've got a ton of members. We've had well over 1,000 floats in a year. We get nothing but 5-star reviews, and the people absolutely love it. And our members, they just, and that's the other thing too, is when you become a member of Chalarosi, that's the thing. You don't want to just float once and stop. I mean, the medical, the health benefits, all the good stuff that these float pods do to you while you're floating is something you need to do on a regular basis. So we offer memberships that are very low commitment. We don't even have them fill out a contract. We basically set up on the computer. We charge them so much a month to float. If they want to ever cancel, it's just a 30-day cancellation. We charge them one more time. They don't have to come in. They can call us on the phone or email us to cancel. Most people don't cancel though once they start floating. I mean, it's very addictive.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're a marketing guy. I'm curious what other successful business owners are doing. So what percentage of your monthly sales do you normally invest back into your marketing?
I would say 20% is what we put back into marketing. And we kind of want to be on all platforms such as social media, but we also like to do other things in the community. So we try to get involved with whatever events that are health related that kind of go hand in hand with our spa. We do direct mail. I used to do a lot of direct mail back in the day when I did marketing for gyms. So I've got some, pretty good contacts in that area. But you always got to promote your business. You've always got to market it. And, that's what we try to do constantly. And my daughter, Karis, is amazing. That's what she went to Georgia State University for marketing. She does all of our ads. She's very talented. I get in trouble if I put an ad on because my ads are too long and drawn out. So, I get scolded. Yeah.
So if you look back at some of the different strategies you guys have implemented, what would you say is the number one marketing strategy that's brought you the most business?
Honestly, Facebook sponsored ads. And, when we have clients that come in and post on Facebook about their experience, our website goes crazy, our schedule blows up. So it's people talking to people about the experience, and we get our best results from Facebook.
Awesome. Yeah. So we talked a lot about the business, shared some of your best practices. So I want to dive back into your journey a little bit. So you've been in business for yourself for quite a while in different businesses. So why did you initially choose to go into business for yourself as opposed to working for someone else?
Oh man, wow, that's a great question. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always struggled with somebody telling me what to do. So being my own boss was always the natural thing. I consider myself a genuine salesman, and what I mean by that is I like to tell the truth. I don't sell something unless I believe in the product. And it's got to be something that's beneficial to the client and the people using it. So that's the main thing. It's being in business for myself. I'll give you an example. Like when I sell a gym and I go through that whole process of not only selling the gym, setting up the equipment and training the clients, but then when I come back a year later and that gym has 600 members, it's making a ton of money and they didn't have to do a franchise. I saved them probably $300,000 just because they didn't do it as a franchise. And they're competing against some of the nation's top franchises and beating them. So that is where I get, I guess that's what makes me feel good about being in business for myself, is knowing that I can go out there, do the job, and be successful at it.
Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about this earlier, but as you look back at that journey, what was the most memorable roadblock or hurdle that you were challenged with that you overcame?
With the fitness business?
Talk about both.
The biggest roadblock with the fitness business was getting clients financing. We had to get very creative with that. So when you're not a big franchise, a lot of companies won't loan money to startups. So we had to learn how to be creative. And ways that we did that was, first of all, was securing an equipment manufacturer. So what we did to get around that and to save our clients even more money so they could rely on more things like hometown bank financing rather than going through, a leasing company, because they were always able to get better terms if they had an institution that they were dealing with. So we went direct with the manufacturers and we were able to overcome that. And now that business is actually starting to pick back up. I was busy this morning. I had to quote 4 gym packages. Because what happened was COVID shut everything down. It literally put 30% of the gyms in the country out of business, doors shut for good. So that's unfortunate, but on the flip side, it creates a lot of room for new growth. So, with 30% of the gyms gone, it creates room for new growth. And what we're actually doing is we're incorporating the two in another business model where you'll have a gym, but after you get done working out, you'll be able to jump in the float pod, the red light sauna, and the red light room, and the cold plunge. Biggest hurdle in Chalarosi was just the learning curve. I didn't know anything about it, so we lost a ton of money on that because of that, and that's what happens when you go into a business that you know nothing about. I mean, no matter how much research you do, you're still going to have some unexpected costs. And just to give you an idea, one of the first hurdles we had was, we bought our first float pods. And because I order stuff from overseas, I thought I was an expert at buying stuff from overseas. So I dealt with the manufacturer in Asia. I bought the pods, we got them, we set them up, and they were all bad. So we lost a substantial amount of money on that, and it was pretty heartfelt. But we had, we were too far in at that point. We had to continue. So I decided to go another route, and this time we went with the best pod that we could actually find, and we did a ton of research before we pulled the trigger on those. So that was probably the biggest hurdle, was getting over that loss, and then of course the battle with the health department, and then the flood. But sometimes that's what life throws at you, and you just got to take it on the chin and keep going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about the future in the business, it's always important to talk about building a great team. So how would you describe your leadership style, and has it changed over the years?
No, my leadership style is I like to do I like to train a lot of hands-on. I like to do a lot of role playing. I like to follow scripts with my employees, just so everybody's on the same page and following the same customer service. Uh, that's my leadership style. I don't like to micromanage. I mean, I can tell what's getting done and what's not getting done when I walk into the spa. But mostly, I like to motivate people. I like to push them to do better, and just be the best that they can.
Absolutely. So what's been your approach to hiring and retaining team members in the labor market today?
Boy, you know, the labor market has changed over the last few years. Wages have definitely gone up. So you've got to pay a little more money as on an hourly rate for employees today. But other than that, I mean, it really hasn't. The only change that I see is, we used to be able to hire people for $12 an hour plus commission, and you'd have people applying all day long. If you don't offer it now at least $15 to $20 per hour plus commission, you just can't really get a good employee. And if and that's what you want. You want to be able to pay someone well, but also make the work environment fun, and make it so that they can be the best they can. But at the same time, you want them to make good money. You want them to be happy with the job, because training new employees, if you're constantly turning over new employees, I mean, it's not, first of all, it's not a good look. Your customers, they get used to dealing with people on a daily basis. And if your employees are a revolving door, then you never really build that relationship. So we try to hold the people that we get. Our plans for the future is, we're getting ready to open another one in Stone Mountain. We break ground in about 3 weeks. Once that is done, I'll have another team in place there. Once we finish the Stone Mountain location, then we will be working with my buddy Peter Morgan out of Cummings, Georgia, who's a franchise attorney, and we're looking to start franchising the Chalarosi brand. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's the goal.
Cool. So before I get into the final question today, how can viewers learn more about you or the company? How can they get in contact?
Man, awesome. So they can go to chalarosi.com, CHALAROSI.com, or they can reach out to me directly at leon@chalarosi.com.
Awesome. Awesome. I'll link that in the description so people can easily find it. So my last question for you today is, what most inspires you as you move forward with the business?
The growth. I feel like that the float spa, infrared sauna, red light therapy business model is about to explode the way that gyms did back in the 80s. You're pretty young, but back in the early 80s and the 90s, there was an explosion with just the 24-hour gym business model across the country. And I kind of see the growth of this doing the same thing. And I like this even more just because I like the health benefits from floating, the infrared saunas, the cold plunge. To me, it's just, it's recovery, man. One, when you go to work out, you're tearing things down, you're tearing muscle, you're tearing your tendons apart and all that. So a lot of times people don't get enough recovery. So I think, the two feed off of each other. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see Chalarosi's all over the country, maybe worldwide someday. Who knows?
I love it. I love it. Leon, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great chatting with you and learning more about your experience and the business.
Thanks, Nate. I appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you again, man.
Thanks.
All right, Nate, have a good one.
You too.